be joined by Francesca Page and John Bachman. J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back to America's Forum. And now, gang, it's time for that tough work. We scope down the Sunday shows because we appreciate if you want to watch, but we know it's summertime, and plus it's Sunday and there's church and everything going on, so we just perform that public service.
And we're happy to do it. Let's get started here. And guys, we're going to focus specifically on the immigration bill. This week, Congress may or may not take up the president's legislation. Of course, there's the Cuellar-Cornyn bill floating around out there. Senate Democrats have their own proposal, and it seems every day we get further into this crisis, both sides seem to be growing apart here. Let's take a look at what was discussed yesterday on the Sunday talk shows. Of course, all of Congress is still facing serious hurdles before they can start dealing with the immigration crisis as they race towards their August recess. Obama's plan, $3.7 billion, a proposal to address the crisis on the border, is basically dead. Senate Republicans have shown no support for a Democratic version of the bill, a $2.7 billion slimmed-down proposal. And Congress has less than a week, as we mentioned, to act on their plan, which allows quicker deportations and seeks to repeal or partly repeal a 2008 trafficking law while spending less money than less than $1 billion on the border as a whole. But when Tea Party favorite and Louisiana Republican, a new member of the Republican leadership as well, Steve Scalise, was asked if Congress will reach a deal with the president, this is what he had to say.
Well, Chris, we're going to keep working until we get this problem solved.
All right, well, they're going to keep working until they get this problem solved, but what does that mean? Scalise basically dodged the question during his interview with Fox News' Chris Wallace. Wallace was determined to try to get to the bottom of the question, though, so he continued to push Scalise.
Question: will House Republicans postpone your vacation, as the president put it, to deal with this problem, to make a deal if you don't settle it by Friday?
Well, it's ironic. We're here in Congress right now, and the president doesn't want to work with us while we're in town. He wants to wait till people are gone. The president has a lot of time on his schedule to secure fundraisers. He has no time to secure the border.
Some would say that was a dodge there, and some Republicans and Democrats Democrats are taunting Republicans with the threat of another executive action from the president as Congress faces a fast approaching deadline to solve this crisis.
But let me just say, in about an hour, I'm going over to the White House. I'll be meeting with Jay Johnson and the chief legal counsel to the President of the United States. We're going to sit down and we're going to negotiate additional terms and avenues the president can use in prosecutorial discretion. And I think we can get 3 or 4, maybe even 5 million people.
Talking about legalizing 5 million people there, that was Congressman Luis Gutierrez of Illinois telling MSNBC that President Obama, again, may legalize up to 5 million illegal immigrants through executive action. Gutierrez also says he believes the only way to stop immigrants from coming to the United States is by providing aid to impoverished Central American countries. We do that already. Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar is also starting to hedge his bets a little bit. Now, in an interview with The Hill, Cuellar warned Republicans that he might not support their bill if it adds provisions, what he calls poison pills. Cuellar does support some policy changes to that 2008 Wilberforce law, but he said, quote, they'll lose me, for example, if they want to get rid of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the DREAM Act. That's a different thing. Then it's a problem with me. Cuellar also went on ABC this weekend to discuss Congress's action on the immigration crisis.
The American public wants us to have an orderly border. Right now, they're seeing chaos at the border, number one. Number two, keep in mind that President Obama on June 30th sent a letter asking for money and a policy change. Secretary Johnson has done a real good job. He's been steady among all this political pressure and he's stayed on. So there are other Democrats that do support this.
Well, there you have it. Cuellar sitting next to John Cornyn, a Texas senator, working with Cuellar on that bill here, but also both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. JD and Francesca, you have folks like Ted Cruz of Texas who say anything that happens from here on out on immigration reform, whether it's this emergency funding bill, needs to have the president say we're getting rid of that DACA provision. On the left, you hear Cuellar kind of taunting Republicans, saying, look, if they don't act, if they don't come around to what we want to do here, the president's going to go ahead and let these people get amnesty.
Now, I understand Henry Cuellar is in a partisan minefield all his own, where he's trying to say, hey, here's what my district wants, but here's the way I can remain true to the Democratic caucus. So he says, anything done with a deferred action plan, they'll lose me. It's not so much about Henry Cuellar. What is far more ominous, and what Republicans should take to heart, the comments of Luis Gutierrez, the congressman from Illinois, on MSNBC, saying essentially by executive fiat, with his pen and his phone, He believes that President Obama is going to grant amnesty to 5 million people. Based on that alone, Republicans should delay their August recess for at least the next 2 weeks to keep an eye on the president. Do not leave town and let this chief executive pull the tricks he is likely to pull based on what Luis Gutierrez is saying.
Well, Francesca, we heard Steve Scalise less than willing to tip his hand there, see if Republicans are going to stay in town. Do you think they need to?
Well, I was just going to go back to that. There seems to be a lot of this deflection. You know, Scalise saying, well, it seems that Obama has time to secure fundraisers, but he doesn't seem to have time to secure our borders. And I thought it was a very interesting comment to come from Scalise there.
And also interesting to note the president's evolution on this issue as well. We've heard from him so many times in the past saying, look, if it were up to me, if I could do this on my own, I would do it.
Right.
One swipe of the pen, I would let these kids stay in this country. Now we hear him saying, you know, in the past he says he can't do anything. Now we hear more noise coming from the administration, more threats. But I think, JD, if the House GOP stays in town, it sends a very strong message that they're serious about getting to the bottom of this issue.
Listen, the bottom line is, and also understand there's another element in this. It's not just vacation, it's re-election time. We're less than 100 days from the general election. Some of these guys are still facing primaries. They want to get home, but this is one case where they need to stay to keep an eye on the president and have plausible legislation to try and stop him if he tries to act by executive fiat.
That's right, 99 days to the primaries, 4 days to go in this session here before the August recess. Maybe more than that. We may be headed to some free governing, JD.
Well, let's see what happens. We welcome your comments at Newsmax TV, #AmericasForum.